Welcome guys to my first how-to video. I've done lots of mod videos, but this is a lot shorter. This is just little miniature guides to help you do little things yourself at home, save you some money, because once you buy the equipment, which I'll show you in this video, and give these things a go yourself, you can do it loads and loads and loads of times and save yourself lots of money. And it's a bit of fun as well. So it's from a friend of mine at work. He said, "Oh, could you put a different strap on for me?" Which I have. I said to him, "Are you aware that your battery's running low because it's doing this?" And this is one indicator for many watch companies they give you, is it does the whole power preserving mode, and that means it just jumps every few seconds. That's to tell you your battery needs to be changed. So I looked up what model battery and battery number this needs. It's the 371 is the code. Another way of doing it is you just open the back up, have a look at the battery that's currently in there, and there's a little number written on there. You'll see that shortly. Then just go on to many different buying platforms and just buy one. They're only a few pounds. I often buy more than one. That's good advice I would recommend to use. If you have to do it again or help a friend out with doing the same thing, you've got one in stock and you end up building up a little collection doing this. So the first thing I recommend you do is I get a bit of plastic, and that goes on there to protect your watch when you're unscrewing the back. If you slip, you don't scratch it. And that is what can happen if you use one of these. This is a case back removal tool. It's adjustable. You can get different size bits here that go in, so it can correlate with the little grooves or slots that are in the case back. Lots of different watches have different ways of opening, but I'm just showing you for this type, which is a majority. You can have a snapback, which you just need a different type of tool, which I'll show you now. This kind of tool, it's very thin, flat spade sort of part to it, which you would use to pop it open. The way you know that it's a snapback is there's nothing like this on the back of it. No, and it's totally smooth generally. No screws, no notches, nothing. And there's normally a little lip, which is very tiny in a lot of watches, for you to be able to get something under and give it a twist and pop it open. That's a whole different story. I'm showing you for a screw back watch, and that's where this comes in. So before you start unscrewing, as you just get it all lined up and pre-adjusted, we're using the little things that you turn and twizzle here. Then once you've got that set up, ready for undoing, you place your bit of plastic on there, and then you can then feel the parts of this case back removal tool slot in, and there you go. As you can see, it's loosened it off enough, and then you can finish it the rest of the unscrewing just by hand, or if you want to be extra fancy, you can use a stick or a little tool just to push in these little grooves if you find your fingers aren't gripping enough. And then we can just carefully remove that. Be careful not to lose this gasket in there. Generally they're okay, but if it's all been damaged from unscrewing it, or it's deteriorated too bad, you have to buy a new gasket. But that's a separate video. This is not about replacing gaskets. 9 times out of 10 when I've done this, they are okay. So as you can see here, 371, they only last a year or so if you're lucky. Now it's a very simple thing to do. The first thing you need to do when we're moving on now is I recommend just put some gloves on. I get these powder free, nice easy grippy ones that get the right size as well, because if you get gloves that are too small, you end up cutting the circulation off and your fingers fall off. You don't want to do that. We're ready to now just pop this battery out, and you can just do it with a very small screwdriver. This is just what I've got to hand. That's really easy, and just be very careful. It's best to put it in where there's no metal parts or anything like that, so you don't scratch anything that's of value or important, especially this copper wound part here. Stay clear of anything that looks like it could easily be damaged, so stay away from that. And you just gently lever, and this sort of part here look good on this watch, with a twizzle, and it literally just leaps out. And you can pick it up with your fingers if you want, but another more fancy and appropriate way to carefully manhandle anything to do with a watch, use plastic tweezers, because they mean you don't scratch, you're not likely to contaminate anything, and if you pick up a battery like this, you're not going to cause any shorting or anything like that, because it's plastic, it doesn't conduct. So we get that out of the way, and do note that there is a sort of a correct way up and down for when you put these in. You see you've got that more of a button sort of look on this side, and this side's got the writing and the plus on it. 99% of the time you want to see that plus, the writing and the number facing upwards when you change the battery. So we'll put this carefully aside, and be very careful where you put these. Animals and children, if they accidentally swallow these, it's very, very, very bad. So be very extra cautious with disposing of your battery. So that's put aside. Guides to where to get all these tools I'm showing you will all be in the description to make it as easy as possible for you to find all the bits. And again, do this yourself. Bought these batteries, they just came now through the post. I had to start recording this video. I was so excited to do it, so I'm just going to get this out of the packaging. These are just, got these on because it's the best price I found for buying two Vartas 371s. So as you can see, you've got the packaging open. I'll keep that, like I said before, the other brand new one as a spare. This has only ever been handled with gloved hands, so there's no contamination. Literally just carefully place this, being careful to also look when you're putting it in and make sure there's, see here, up to my right, with my right finger there, there's kind of a spring. So you don't want to sort of push on top of that. You want to carefully sort of push into that to allow it to sort of slot into this place. So I'm starting with it, see, facing that, and it's going to kind of go into that angle. And we're in. And that's it. So I'm going to check it's working. It shouldn't all fall out when I turn it over. Now look at the ticking. It's ticking once every second, as it should do. So now we can start putting the watch back together. While you're here, actually, another good thing to do is use a puffer, just to puff any residue that may have jumped in there from undoing the case back. Another good thing to do is to get this Rodico from Bergeon, Swiss looking blue tack. It's effectively, it's a watch cleaning, watch component picking up kind of tacky stuff, which is fantastic. And you can just pick off a little piece. See, I've used it a lot. You normally get a brick about that long, and you just break bits off and use it for cleaning. So what I would say is use that to clean around here. Simple as that. So now we're ready for putting the case back on. Now, one thing I recommend you can do, if you in this way inclined, might as well, while we got the back off, carefully remove this gasket, again using your tweezers. And this is a flat shaped gasket. It's very flat, nice and easy. Then I use this stuff, which is specifically for greasing these kind of things. You place it in nice and flat, pop that in there, a few rotations, gives it a good even coverage of this silicone, which is very thin, appropriate grade of silicone to give just the right amount of application to this gasket. And then you place it back on again to the case back. You can use your fingers or your tweezers to gently just massage it back into place. And then you check it before you start thinking about screwing it in place. Make sure it's all seated evenly and flat all the way around. No twisting, no distortion, anything like that. All looks good to me. So it's ready to simply place straight on the back. And then you can get the case back tool, just not to sort of really tighten in, just to get it started. You see it's not quite seated. So if you can with your fingers, get it to sort of start screwing in, just so it bites. And you can get it going with the case back removal tool. And if you want to get it just a little bit more tight, you don't want to over tighten it, you just want to give it enough tension that you know it's going to compress down on that gasket and not crush it and start to twist it out of place, because that you can do if you get a bit too carried away. So it's firm until you feel like it's not going to turn anymore, and that's it. I don't need to force any further than that. All I need to do is get my gloves off so it's easy to undo the crown, and I'll reset the time for my friend. There we are, screw that back down. Watch is ready to go back to one happy customer. Thanks for watching my first how-to guide for the channel. See you in the next one. Bye for now.